I'm about to give you all an example of how it is still not the drag queens that are threats to children. But before I get into the story, I need to put a trigger warning for just about every kind of abuse that you could imagine towards children. So if you do not want to hear it, scroll on. A record $100 million settlement reached in lawsuits alleging torture, rape, and starvation at a Christian school in West Virginia. The attorneys for the victims alleged hundreds of students were subjected to, quote, horrifying and unspeakable forms of sexual, physical, and psychological mistreatment at the boarding school in the Appalachian community of Salem. The school was called Miracle Meadows Boarding School. It was in operation from 1987 to 2014, and they offered treatment for at-risk children aged 7 to 17 and for those with learning disabilities. According to the report, the school operated as a ministry of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And according to the lawsuit, investigators began examining the facility after a student drank a cleaning product and was taken to a hospital. And while she was being treated there, she begged the staff to not send her back. The article goes on to say that local authorities have previously said investigators were hampered by students who recanted their accusations after being returned to their families because a lot of these students were from out of state, and by staff members who were overseas natives here on religious work visas that would abruptly return home the second that any accusation of wrongdoing was made against them. Attorney Jason Forbes, in a statement announcing the settlement, said the abuses suffered by these children wouldn't be believed in a Stephen King novel. He went on to say children deserve to be loved, nurtured, and treated with care, not handcuffed, abused, and thrown in isolation cells with a coffee can for a bathroom. There was a previous lawsuit back in 2020 that was settled against Miracle Meadows as well. That one for $52 million. And that lawsuit prompted legislators in West Virginia to raise the statute of limitations to anybody under the age of 36. And that's what prompted this latest lawsuit. This latest lawsuit included allegations that some students became pregnant after being raped and were given abortions. Some children, ranging in age from 7 to 12, were infected with sexually transmitted diseases after being sexually assaulted by staff. What's going to make you even more upset is that in 2016, the co-founder of this school, Susan Gale Clark, was charged and convicted of child neglect and sentenced to 6 months in jail and 5 years probation. With that in mind, remember that back in March, the West Virginia Senate proposed a new drag show bill that would charge parents as offenders for taking their children to a drag show. The first time that a parent would have been charged under this bill, they would have been convicted of a misdemeanor. The second time would have been a fine of up to $25,000 and 5 years in prison. I just wanted to point out the disparity between that and Susan Gale Clark's 6 months and 5 years probation.